Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. Let's talk about lithium batteries. Let's talk about lithium mining. Let's talk about what is going on between the war of US and China. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news lately, but the US wants to go to war with China. That'd be great. I think you need to start paying attention to what is going to happen to natural resources around the world as this divide gets wider and wider. Everywhere you're seeing now in the news, there's one or another military leader coming out and saying,
we're preparing to go to war with China. We're going to go and we're going to win this war with China. China.
You know, I could talk about China. It's not like they're, I'm going to get censored or something. It's not like they're watching me. They're behind me, aren't they? I thought I got rid of you in the last video. All right, let's be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest right now. I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. Point being is that I can talk about this, but I think that there are a lot of things that people don't understand. The US actually doesn't produce a lot of things. We were a producing nation, now we're a receiving nation. We like to ship things in, especially components for all kinds of equipment that I like to use. I love certain things that are run by lithium, not electric cars, but I like electric power tools. What's nicer than a really fine power tool? Let me give me an example. Editor. Just like playing this thing like a guitar. I got this, guys. Other than that, think about it. Lithium is literally taking over industries. But let's talk about China, and then I'm gonna talk about what industries is sort of taking over and the demand that's going on. So let's start out with a story right here. Is the US falling behind China in Africa's lithium industry? It says right here, the demand for lithium is rising as it has become a critical component in needed electric vehicles' batteries. In 2021, the world produced 540,000 metric tons of lithium, and by 2030, the World Economic Forum projects the global demand will reach over 3 million metric tons. Now, you guys know that I invest in lithium projects, I invest in battery metal projects, and the reason why is because I believe that is the future. These tools, the advancement in these batteries are pretty unbelievable. I mean, the power they have, the longevity, the charge, the shortness, the charging keeps getting shorter and shorter. The facts are, you really can't do anything without lithium nowadays in the battery industry. Sure, there's people trying to invent all kinds of different new ways of making batteries with different materials, but by and large, lithium is the top pick when it comes to battery energy, power, usage, storage, all of that kind of stuff. Going back into the story a little bit longer, Zimbabwe has been mining lithium for 60 years, and the government estimates that its Chinese owner Bitka Minerals Mine, which is located about 300 kilometers south of the capital, Harare, has about 11 million metric tons of lithium resources. The country is the 6th largest producer of lithium, and the International Trade Administration projects that once it fully exploits its known resources, it could potentially meet 20% of the world's demand. Well, that's great and all, but the problem is if they have these deep ties with China and we're continually trying to combat China and we're tearing apart, the East and the West are dividing right now, then where do we get our lithium from? And that's really important. So I'm always trying to identify those kind of things. Now, real quick, before this video goes on too long and I get into this other story, I want to point out this is a sponsored video. Thank you. Thank you, sponsor, for keeping me going. I love it because I don't know what I'm going to buy with the sponsorship money. Maybe eggs. You may see that come out later in the video. Point being is, here's the ticker. See, it's right there. It's magical. Look at that. It's beautiful. Check it out. The ticker and the company name. Now, I'm going to get into the company in a second, but I want to dive into this other story, and I think it's very important, and it's on my cell phone. That's ran by Lithium Battery. Isn't it weird how that stuff works out? Global demand for batteries is depleting the supply of raw materials. Lithium-ion batteries will reign supreme for a while, but research into recycling and energy storage technologies is heating up. And the reason why is, again, because we're dealing with geopolitical threats. We've got to figure out where to source lithium from a country that is friendly with America, that we're not going to be going to war with possibly, and a way of refining it. Very, very important. It says right here, a typical home or workplace has about 10 batteries. Mobile phones, watches, laptops, tablets, consoles, household appliances, tools, loudspeakers, bicycles, scooters, and more. And they all use the same lithium-ion technology. The downside of these batteries is that they are expensive, have limited capacity, and have become less efficient over time. The high cost is due to the lithium global reserves of their chemical elements, which are monopolized by half a dozen mining countries. China, Australia, Congo, Chile, South Africa. Editor, can you give me one more finger? In a good spot. And Indonesia. Yes, it's the man with the six-figure glove. What movie is that from? A study by the European Commission's Joint Research Center, or JRC, concluded that there is not simply enough raw material for so many batteries. According to the International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, increasing consumption through 2050 will drive demand for battery raw materials 30 to 40% higher than available reserves. CIC Energúen, a research center for electrochemical and thermal energy storage funded by the Basque regional government in Spain, warns timely, collaborative decisions are needed. And that's what I've been talking about for a while, and that's why I invest in the space. I'm looking for resource stocks, junior mining stocks in the batteries metal area. Battery metals, looking at nickel, copper, lithium, cobalt. You want to look at a wider range of companies that are looking for this, trying to source it and find good areas, because lithium's all over the world, quite frankly. But there's a difference between having lithium in the ground and going, hey, look, it's right there. It's everywhere. Well, it's like, yeah, there's dirt everywhere too, but is there good dirt? Is there plantable dirt, right? Can I use this dirt for a good function like growing plants? Well, it's the same thing, or growing food. It's the same thing with lithium. Yeah, there's lithium everywhere, but can I find enough of it concentrated in one area to make sense to mine it? All right, so that's a big, big deal. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's sponsor, okay? And today's sponsor is Gamma Explorations. I'm gonna need some notes. Where? Editor, I need help.
A few minutes later.
Anywhere? Where's it coming from? Is it like gonna magically appear somewhere? Oh. Not done with you. Seriously, gonna roadblock me? Gamma Explorations. Gamma notes. Gamma Exploration. First off, tickers on the CSE under GAMA, G-A-M-A. That's novel. And how about under the OTCQB? It's GMMAF, GAMA. All right, there we go. Guys, some selling points I wanted to go over the company would like to highlight is that they have 3 separate projects, and those 3 separate projects are looking for different types of battery metals. First off, you've got the Muskox lithium project. This is a hard rock lithium bearing pegmatites in Northwest Territories. You've got next the Tyree nickel project. This is a dominant land position in New Nickel Belt in southeastern Quebec. And then lastly, you've got the Big Onion copper porphyry project in British Columbia. You know, I gotta be honest with you. I want to name some of these mining places. You're out there looking for stuff. You're like,
What are we looking for today? Well, we're looking for copper. Well, I think we found it. It's over here. What do we want to name it? Big Onion.
I want to name these. It just sounds like fun. Big Onion, the Big Onion. You know, I remember the Big Apple being New York, but they don't have any copper there. They need a lot of copper because they take a lot of electricity, but no copper. They don't. Yeah. So we're going to the Big Onion. The company's diversified. It has a diversified portfolio in high potential battery metals projects in a world-class jurisdiction. Actually jurisdictions, because they have 3 separate locations. And like I was saying before, it's very vital that we look for companies that are not only trying their hardest to go and find the metals, but then have a way to be able to bring it to market, to be able to market it for further exploration, setting themselves up for a junior mining company or a large mining company to take them over, or possibly them being able to go into production themselves. So that's very, very important, okay? And to be able to do that, you've got to look at the team and what the team involves, who they are. So let me go over a couple of people real quick. The CEO, Mick Carew, He has his PhD and has a combination of capital markets experience and technical experience. Mr. Carew has been involved in the mining sector for over 25 years. Very important to have people on your team, the companies that you invest with, that have been in the mining sector for a long time. Why? Because they have a lot of knowledge and experience from the amount of years in it, hopefully, but also it's the connections. It's meeting other people in the industry, being able to put together good teams and good projects. Then we have the VP of Exploration, Jacob Verboss, also has his PhD. He founded and staked the HSP project during his time as VP of Exploration with Go Metals, and is a founder, director, and CEO of Scavu Energy Metals. This company was acquired by Alpha Copper in 2022, so he understands what it's like to have a company that is taken over or purchased by another company. So that's always a good thing, a win. Now, some upcoming catalysts or news that they're looking forward to bringing you in the future, and I wanted to highlight this, is a handful of things. First off, further satellite imagery on the Muskox lithium property. Exploration plan for 2023 on all of them, Muskox, Tyree, and the Big Onion project. Results of SkyTem survey on Tyree. Do I even pronounce it right? Again, I got to start naming these things. I love it. Delineation of drill targets on Muskox and Tyree, and potential for additional asset acquisitions. When people, this is the one thing that I'm always looking at when I invest in companies, is I'm looking at the cap structure, okay? So check this out. This comes from their website. A tight share structure with healthy treasury equates to about 57.3 million shares outstanding, or 67.2 million shares when they're fully diluted. That accounts for options, warrants, and the shares outstanding. Recently completed $5.4 million in financing with no financing overhang. So I like that. We want to look for companies that don't have a ton of shares out there, companies that were able to initiate and complete financing rounds so that they can take that money, especially in the exploration spot. They need money to go and explore. They need money for geologists to bring them in, for drill rigs to drill, get the core samples, get the lab results back, and then they take that and they market it. They go, okay,
All the mining companies in the world, this is what we've got. We've got this much lithium. We've got this much nickel. We've got this much copper.
and they're hoping that either they can now raise at a higher rate, higher valuation, and then either bring it to production, or they're able to get in front of the eyeballs of these larger mining companies that are so desperately needing to find projects to acquire, so that they can then take their resources, jump in and start mining and get that metal out of the ground so they can get it into cool little power tools like, hold on, I gotta do this again. It's the same one. I mean, it's cool. It's the same one. Have you guys ever seen, literally, these things are so darn powerful that you can actually make like airplanes out of cardboard and then just ooh, sorry, I hope that wasn't too loud. Seriously, go away. Point being is this: in the end of the day, we need more and more lithium. And even though it's all over the world, it's not in places that are concentrated enough to go in there. It's because it's just not economically feasible. You can't just go in there and scrape it. You got to get into really highly concentrated areas. And those are the companies you want to look for. Why? Because we're going possibly to war with China. And honestly, if that happens, this lithium demand is going to get very, very interesting, and the supply chain breakdown is going to be interesting. And guys, before we go any further, I want to thank today's sponsor, and that is Gamma Explorations. We're going to put the ticker up top. It is on the CSC under the ticker Gamma, G-A-M-A, and under the OTCQB, it is GMMAF. Guys, thank you so much for sponsoring this video, because I can buy more eggs. I don't know if you noticed, these are like gold. Ninja had too big of an omelet. Mrs. Ninja got angry because he had a 5-egg omelet when he should have only had a 4-egg omelet. But this is the deal. With these being so expensive, I just want to do something positive, at least with the case. China, you're dead to me. Boom! See you guys.